Hello, everybody. How are you? And happy Wednesday. It's so good to see you guys. I'll wait just a minute until you pop on because today is super important. I want to talk about Etsy advertising and what is going to be happening for the future of Etsy ads. So just there's a notification and I'll wait to see. There's Teresa. Welcome, Teresa. So nice to have you. We'll see if anyone else pops on. I do know that if you're watching from YouTube, hello, you guys. How are you? Make sure if you do like this video, make sure if you give me a little thumbs up or a like, that will let me know that I am creating good content for you to keep it coming. So we're going to be, I've got to kind of do this fairly quickly because I've got a podcast interview at 1:30, so I'm very pressed for time, but I did not want to miss this because I did get a notification from Etsy this morning that they are going to be rolling out a new advertising policy for its sellers, and I want to break down everything for you so it's kind of crystal clear. And this is going to be rolling out in the next few weeks from Etsy. And I want to start with just the journey of like where Etsy started with its advertising. I'll give you a brief history, and then we'll go into what the new advertising is going to be, and then kind of how this is going to affect you. Yes, I will send a replay out, so no problem, Teresa. So first of all, let's talk about the history of Etsy advertising. And Etsy started its advertising several years ago. And okay, no problem, Teresa. So Etsy started its advertising platform a few years ago where it started with promoted listings. What is promoted listings? Where you get to advertise right on Etsy, and Etsy will, you would take, let's say, it's cost per click. So Etsy would just take that, whether you sell the product or not, if a customer clicks on your listing, then you pay for it. Okay, so then just last year, Etsy turned, I think it was last year, Etsy promoted listings turned into Etsy ads. So what is Etsy ads? Etsy ads is combining off-site and on-site, which means Etsy promoted listings plus, in addition, Google shopping ads. They were combined if it was over, I believe it was around $3 when you spent per day in advertising. They would combine the efforts between, they would kind of just implement them between the actual Etsy platform and Google shopping, and you had no control of that. And so now there is a feature, though, that you will be able to turn off if you want your items to be shown only on Etsy. And so you don't have to have that Google ad shopping if you don't want. And that's what I'm right now currently investigating, and that's what Etsy is saying in their policies. Of course, this is something very new, so go ahead and do your due diligence as well. But I just want to give you like the update. So that's where Etsy advertising is at as of now. So I just received an email from Etsy saying that they're, welcome to risk-free advertising. So your ears kind of perk up. You're like, okay, what's risk-free advertising? I gotta check this out. And you can look at this either way. We're gonna get into all of that in just a minute, but I want to talk about what exactly is risk-free advertising. So Etsy, and I have some notes here so I don't forget everything, it's going to be called off-site ads. So for those of you that are not very tech savvy and you don't know anything about advertising, off-site means just off the platform. So that would be advertising on places like Google, Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, Bing, etc., anywhere where someone might be interested in clicking on your product. So Etsy is going to use its advertising budget to accomplish this. So how does it work? Let's get into the nitty-gritty. So the seller, actually, it is risk-free in a way because the seller doesn't pay for anything until the product is actually sold. So what they're doing is using your money in their advertising budget, but at a much higher rate normally than you would pay I guess it depends where you're targeting your market, but typically you can probably get a lower advertising rate. It's going to be 12 to 15% of your total sale. But hang on before you freak out and you say, well, that's my profit. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But the cool thing is about this is that you have that person that clicks on the ad for Etsy. If you are the featured shopper, that's when, if your item is purchased, it's not just the item, it's your whole purchase that will be charged 12 to 15%, but it's only if there's a sale. See, this is the difference between the promoted listings and the new Etsy advertising, the new deal with the advertising. So there really is no risk as long as you're running a high enough profit margin. So let's keep going with this, okay? Let's stay with me here. So basically, Etsy is going to be using their advertising, but your money, they're going to be starting with their own budget. But all of a sudden, if your ad gets clicked on, gets purchased, and it's cookied for 30 days, so that you actually have that little cookie will be followed around for 30 days, and you have a 30-day period from when that person hops on and wants to, hey Crystal, wants to purchase that item. So you actually have a 30-day window that person might come back and purchase the item. So you've got that, risk-free advertising, and I'm always like, hey, if it's risk-free, is it truly risk-free, you want to weigh all the benefits, and you want to make sure that the opportunity cost is there. So here's the deal, though. This is going to be required for sellers that make over $10,000 within the past 12 months. You cannot turn this off. This is a requirement for not larger sellers, but anyone that's making more than 10 grand. So you can't turn this off. So you've got to make sure that your products are, again, this is not all of your products, because there's going to be about a 10%, maybe 10% of your listings will actually have, be used in the advertising. So it's not like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be losing out because I've got, my ROI is only 20%. So don't look at it that way. But it's also going to be capped at $100. So if you have a very expensive item, let's say $2,000, or even more, then it's going to be capped out at $100. So obviously, 10% is $250, so you're actually really doing well on if you have a very expensive product, which I know is not the majority of you guys. So to recap, you are not going to be paying for the advertising until the product is actually sold, which is different from promoted listings. Promoted listing is per click. You pay per click. And so that is a really good thing. So what I always tell when something is new coming out, people tend to panic and they're like, oh, this isn't going to work. Well, don't think that way. You've got to start thinking on the positive side, like, wow, I'm going to be promoted to places like Pinterest and Bing and Instagram and Facebook, and it's not going to cost me anything until I make a sale. So try to look at it on the upside and the positive until you start seeing the results. And then you can start to figure out what you need to do after you get some data, because people always freak out before they gather the data. And even if you don't make as a big a return on investment, just think about it this way. You would have never had that sale if you didn't have that advertisement. So, don't be so quick to judge anything until you've actually gone through it. I mean, if you are on a positive ROI, it's a good advertising campaign. I don't care how much of a positive ROA. If it's 5%, 10%, you're making money, and that's the way you need to look at it. So there is going to be a new dashboard on the Etsy platform, which is going to be I think it's called the off-site. I think I made a note here. Off-site ads dashboard. So this is all going to be in your metrics. You're going to be able to calculate and see if this is working for you or not. So It doesn't seem like a really bad deal. I mean, obviously, I'm a seller that's going to be forced in the program, and I don't know if I like that or not, but hey, when you're on a platform like Etsy, you are at your own, you're at their mercy. So you can't really like be angry because it's not your own website. You're under their guidelines, so you have to go with the rules. So I always tend to look at things on the positive. I'm like, what, this might be a great thing, just more exposure, and maybe bump up your prices a little bit so you can recoup the advertising costs and see what happens. Because as you know, and if you've been following me for a while, your entire business is completely math. And if you haven't followed me, you need to find out what I mean. And a lot of people are having a lot of aha moments about this. They're like, I never looked at it this way. Yes, your Etsy shop is completely 100% math and numbers. And I do have some YouTube videos about that, and I speak about it a lot in my Insiders Club and the Easy as Pie Etsy shop. But yeah, so if the numbers are working, great, keep doing more of it. If they're not working, then you need to figure out what to do. So really, that's in a nutshell. It's not anything like that is really that mind-blowing. I'm sure you're going to be hearing people in the community with all the negativity, like, what has Etsy done now? They're taking my advertising money. But I always tend to look at it on the upside, and you have the same choice as well. So any questions before we hang up? I have to go because I've got to keep this short. I've got to do a podcast right now. So again, this is something that could be really beneficial to you. Just make sure your ROI is, you've got a positive ROI. If you're working your tail off and you're not making any money, you need to rethink your business. You need to increase your prices. You need to figure out how to be profitable. And a lot of creators, unfortunately, they don't know how to do this because they're completely left-brained, is it? Yeah, wait, no, sorry. Yeah, left brain, no, right brain, sorry. Yeah, right brain. Right brain is the creative, left brain is the logical. So you got to rethink your business and see if those numbers are working for you, because some of you guys are working so hard and yet you end up making like $8 an hour with all of your hard work and labor. So that's really it. And just wanted to kind of give you this. You can go ahead and watch the replay if you need to, but it's really simple. And it's going to be something that you can go into and turn off if you are under that 10,000 per the past 12 months. So make sure that you are aware of this. And it's not actually implemented right now. It will be rolling out in the next few weeks. So just go ahead and check your emails from Etsy, or go ahead and go into the Etsy forums or the Etsy blog, and you can read more about this to educate yourself, because of course we know that education is really important to stay up on top of things in business, because everything's changing so quickly all the time. So that's it. I'm sorry I had to cut it short today, but I've got to get ready for my podcast interview. And if you have any questions, you can always, you know where to find me. I'm always available, businesschicmama.com, or on my private, group, or just go ahead and look me up on YouTube, or just, you know where to find me. I'm all over the internet. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. Give me a thumbs up if you're watching this on YouTube, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.